From pro photographers to absolute beginners, we all make mistakes, and that's because no one starts out already knowing everything. You can see a photographer you admire and at some point they've forgotten to remove the lens cap too. The neat part about mistakes is that you can learn from them. So in this video, I'll talk about some beginner mistakes that I and several other photographers have made, so you know how to avoid them. Let's get started. Kicking off the list with number 1, shooting always in the same perspective. Let's see if you're familiar with this one. You're walking around when you see something interesting, so you decide to take a picture. You raise your camera to your face, take the shot and move on. And there's nothing wrong with that by itself. The mistake here is only doing that. Try shooting with different angles. Try to get really high or really low. Don't be afraid to experiment with alternatives, because often you'll find that you'll get more interesting compositions. And the same thing applies when you're shooting with your phone. Moving on with the second one, always shooting in burst. This is something I really did back in the day. I used to think, yeah, if my camera sounds like this, it looks like I know what I'm doing. Yeah. More often than not, the situation doesn't require shooting in burst. Sure, I advocate not just taking a single photo and calling it a day, because things can happen like your subject blinking or you missing focus. But at most, have it in a slow burst, and only changing when the situation does require it, like in sports photography. This way, you'll save tons of storage and time. Next is number 3, setting your aperture fully open. This is really common when you have your first prime lens, like the Nifty 50. Since you can get a wider aperture than with your zoom lens, you might think of using it at the most open setting, like f1.8. The thing is that most lenses are a little bit soft at the widest setting, so unless you absolutely need that extra light, stop it down just a little bit to have a sharper image. This also applies when taking portraits, for example, because at some really open settings, when focusing at the eyes, parts of the face like the nose or the ears start to become a little bit blurry. Well, if you like that look and you intend it to look that way, go for it. But if you want the whole face of your subject to be in focus, again, step it down a little. And giving you an extra tip, setting your aperture fully closed. Related to my previous advice, when you close your aperture to the max, you can get most of the elements of your composition in focus, independently of the distance to your camera. However, this doesn't mean that it is the sharpest setting of your lens. Confusing, isn't it? Well, this concept also confused me at the beginning, but hear me out. Photography is a game of trade-offs and finding balance. In many cases, when you fully close your lens's diaphragm, it also becomes a little bit soft. So if you want to shoot with the sharpest setting, this is found in the middle between the two extremes, so often between f8 and f11. Finally, my last tip of the day, comparing yourself. This is a little bit more philosophical, isn't it? Comparing ourselves to others is really common in many areas of our lives, including photography. However, it's important to remember that no one starts out as an expert. One of the most exciting things about photography is that it allows us to capture our own unique perspective of the world. Your photography journey is going to be different from anyone else's, and that's great! So instead of comparing yourself to others, start to focus on your own personal growth. You may be surprised at how much you have improved. So go ahead and keep capturing, experimenting, and learning. Thanks again for watching this video. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with the other beginner photographers you might know. If you have any further questions or want to give advice for a fellow photographer, please leave a comment down below. Finally, if you like content like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.